we're using this fancy little device.
Just leave me here, man.
So we're going to measure it, thank you very much. Right then, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another TOUAREG 7P video. So in the last few episodes on this car, we've so far fitted the wheels, we've fitted the tyres, we've got the tent box on there, so it's getting more overlandy as the videos progress. But today, we're going to be doing something quite important on these to make them into a capable off-roader, and that is the lift kit. So if we have a look in the back of the car, we've got these bulky spacers, aluminium spacers, and these will basically lift the car by 50 mil. So this is not a suspension lift as such, this is classed as a body lift. So what you're doing is raising the body of the car from the subframe. This kit that you can see in front of us is actually for the earlier TOUAREGs, the 7Ls and the earlier KNs. But we're hoping that this kit is going to be pretty similar to the earlier stuff. The only change that we have had to make to the kit are these. So this is a 3D printed prototype, but this is basically a spacer for the top of the damper. So the reason why I'm showing you this one is because the ones that we've had machined are actually already on the car. We just wanted to test fit them and make sure they fit. So we'll get the car up on the ramp, we'll whip one of the wheels off and we'll have a look at one of these fitted. Just before we actually lift it up and show you the rear damper spacers, we might as well measure the height of the car now. So in its current state, this is currently in off-road mode. So if you've got a TOUAREG or a KN, you'll know that there's different height settings that's adjustable from inside, because this is the air model rather than the coil. Got a tape measure. Let's measure. So we're going from the floor to the centre of the wheel arch, 885 mil on the front, the rear 900. So hopefully by the time we've done this kit and got it all fitted, it's going to be higher than that in the same setting on the air suspension. So now we're underneath the car, we can actually see everything a little bit better. It makes more sense as to where these spacers go. So obviously the damper, the airbag and everything, just one unit on this. So that's the 3D printed one, and I think that's that side actually. But it basically, where it pivots on these bushers, basically where that mounts to the chassis or the body, it's just a little spacer that goes in there. And then what we've got to do is, obviously this is the subframe and this is the body, and the spacers that we've got have got to fit between the subframe and the body, and then that's what gives you your body lift. So yeah, it should be a fun job. Depends how easy all these bolts come out. As with most older off-road cars, things can be seized and easy jobs can become hard. So we'll get those fitted and see where we're at after. So Harry's been busy. We've got the rear spacers fitted. As you can see from before, this was pretty much touching the body, and now we've got the lift in there. And then the other one goes there. So Harry's just going to explain now the easiest way to fit those.
Because we found you got to drop the subframe originally, we decided the easiest way was, because we provide longer bolts, if you work in a cross pattern you can go corner to corner. So you undo your two corner ones, opposite corners, you can put in the new bolts, and that way when you undo the other two corners you can drop the subframe onto those longer bolts. That way, I mean, you can still use the stands which are there just for a bit of safety, but you shouldn't have to rest the subframe on the stands then. So yeah, use the longer bolts, drop them onto them first. You can then put your spacers in, and then take those bolts back out, put your other spacers in, and that way saves you having to put the subframe on stands. So it's a lot quicker, safer as well.
Easy as that.
Well, yeah, easier said than done.
So, do you want to explain? We've found a few differences in this kit compared to the older one.
We'll just drop that down.
So, fronts.
Yeah, back here. So, originally, what you do is when you undid the front, you could take the strut assembly out and you put these. Where they are now? Yeah, here they are. So, you put these spacers in on the underside of the strut, and that would be your lift there. But with this setup and with this newer model with the air suspension as well, we can no longer run these, which are for the previous one. So what we're going to have to do is make an adapter plate, which you will see a clip of, which I'm doing currently. So the strut will bolt into that, and then that will then go to the top of the tower here. So bit of a different method, but it's a lot easier than having to try and use these. So yeah, once that's finished modelling, we'll do a 3D print, show you how it fits, and then get one machined.
Sweet. So just before we insert a clip of Harry mocking this up in CAD, we're using this fancy little device, a Revo Point, and that is literally connected to this iPhone via Wi-Fi, and it's currently 3D scanning the top mount. Very quick, very easy way of scanning. Is that it? Done?
Yeah, that'll do us.
Like 30 seconds. So yeah, literally, that is getting powered by this selfie stick, we'll call it, which is basically just a power bank. And that's got this USB cable powering that up. And then that sends the data via Wi-Fi to the iPhone. So quite a cheap, easy way of 3D scanning things. And how much was that? Like
550 quid.
Right.
It's like $707 on it, so.
Right, I thought you were even deal. So there we are.
Yeah, you move around.
Nice reference for the bolt holes. Be able to import that into CAD now. We've got all those measurements off that. So 30 seconds with this little device, which probably saved you quite a bit of time.
Saves us having to take that out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, very handy.
Sweet. As you can see, we have now got the front strut off the TOUAREG down there. So a little bit of a change of plan. This is the 3D printed spacer that we'd originally made, which would have originally fit on there like that. You bolt that on, well, put a nut on, and then the original plan was to put some new studs in here But I think we're going to change that because if Harry demonstrates...
But basically what is when this is together, there's that there, but when I let go, it springs back. So it's constantly trying to spring back. We've got, I believe it's 25 degrees of rotation. So with that amount, that is going to add quite a bit of force in there. I mean, you think how much tension that's under there, which will be all the time. So it's constantly trying to level itself. So what we found is you can, if I can find which one it is, that's lucky.
That one.
You can extract the studs.
You'll be able to do that from the top as well before you even take it off.
Top, yeah. And that way, instead of having the offset holes here with the studs, we can just have a simple spacer, goes on top of here, gives you your 25mm extra lift, and then remove all the 3 studs and just go straight through the top with some bolts and a lock washer. That way we reckon it'll be a lot simpler to install, because if we turn back around to here, all of this we've had to remove to actually get the strut out, we won't have to do. So
in theory we should be able to just undo the nuts,
yeah,
and remove the studs at the top.
And then
that'll drop down, undo the anti-roll bar.
Yeah, so anti-roll bar there,
yeah,
the drop link there, the bottom bolt there, that will give you enough to actually drop the strut down, and then through the top hole there, we'll be able to access it through the top, extract the studs, slide your spacer in through the top here, and then bolt it from the top. So we reckon that'll be a lot easier to install and it saves you a lot of time.
So back to the drawing board, you're going to redraw the new spacer, we'll print out a new development piece, and then we'll test fit it with the longer bolts, so check back in soon. Right, progress has been made. So Harry's cracked on with this, and we've got the front subframe spacers on there. So there's 2 at the front, and then 2 at the back. We've now got the strut disconnected, so all we've done is disconnected the roll bar and took out this bottom bolt, and then removed the studs completely from the top, which has allowed us to get one of these in, which we don't need that one anymore, because we've got these ones. So fresh from the machine shop, got the proper metal spacers that we're going to be using. And basically, once you've got the studs out the top, we can pop that through there, sit that on top, a bit more.
That's it.
There we go.
There we go.
Line that up somewhat with the holes, and then from the top we can just bolt that in. So easy as that. We made it as easy as possible. Someone's making loads of noise in the background. So we have disconnected the air pipe just so it's released all the air pressure out the bag. That gives you a little bit more freedom to compress it, a bit more room. But yeah, nice and simple. So if you were fitting this from scratch, it'd literally be remove the studs from the top.
Yeah, so undo the top, use a stud removal kit, remove the studs from the top, and then it's the drop link bolt on the anti-roll bar, the bottom bolt on there. Let the air out of the bag if you have bags. Obviously, if you don't, then it doesn't apply. But if you do, let the air out a little bit, and then it'll drop down enough to get that spacer in.
Bolt it back up.
Yeah, bolt it back up, airline back in, and then just bolt through the top.
Simples. So let you crack on and get the rest fitted.
Get it all finished up. See what it looks like.
So the lift kit is done, which means we can now measure the ride height front and back. So I've already set the car into off-road mode, which is the same mode as we measured earlier on in this video with the trusty tape measure. In fact, I'll measure the other side and then it's a fair test. So now, on the front, we are at 930, just less than 930. So previously we were at 885, so that's like a 45 mil on the lift on the front, and then on the back we were previously at 900. We are now at just over 930. So that's like a 35 mil lift on the back. So although we've put 50 mil spacers in, obviously the ride height sensors and everything can be adjusted to adjust how much pressure's in the bag on each setting as such. So that's why potentially we're a little bit out on the back. So a little bit more adjusting. We should have pretty much the 45 mil lift all around. But yeah, nice gain from standard. Looks pretty well. Look even better if it had 33s on it, which is probably one of the next things on the job. But that's going to need a bit more modification to these sills like we've done in the past, and the intercoolers and everything moving further forward. So one thing to note when you've fitted all the lift kit, we'll get it up on the ramp and I'll show you. Just whip this exhaust tip off so you can see a little bit better. But because we have dropped the subframe from the body, but the exhaust is in the same place, it is now touching the top of the exhaust. So quite a crude modification, if you didn't want to change all this, would be just to crush the exhaust a little bit. It's not going to affect the flow that much, but obviously it'll just give you the extra clearance on the subframe. But what we're going to do, we're going to cut the exhaust, we're going to get rid of the silencer, and do a silencer delete. So we'll check back in. I'm hoping you can hear me because there's a lot of loud noises going off in that room up there. But yeah, let's do the silencer delete and then we'll have a final look at the exhaust system, see if it sounds any different.
They just leave me here, man. No. You get that one aside.
So we've got the TOUAREG out of the workshop now. It looks even higher, and that's because we've done some fine adjustment on the height adjusters. So we're going to measure it, thank you very much. So the final height, so this is still in off-road mode, and we are now at 94.5 on the front and just over 94.5 on the rear as well. So it's sitting pretty well. It looks a little bit high for the size of the wheels and tyres. I think it would definitely suit a set of 33s on it now. Someone's described it as a frightened cat. It's probably not a bad representation of what it looks like now. So didn't really get much footage of the silencer delete because people forget to use cameras quite often in our establishment. But as you can see, we've got the delete on. It clears the subframe now. Probably wants a little bit more tweaking just to give it a bit more clearance. But the rear silence delete for these TOUAREGs are going to be on our website by the time this video goes out. We've also done some other work further down the exhaust system. You can probably guess what we've done with that. So let's hear what it sounds like. So definitely sounds a bit more fruity than it did before. It's a shame there's a soft limiter on there. I think we need to get the tuners to sort that out. But yeah, I think overall, very happy with how it looks. I think the next job for this now is it's going into the body shop tomorrow for this questionable paintwork sorting out. And then it's going over to Gig for a bit of a wrap, a bit of a livery on the back. If you ever saw the V8 TOUAREG that we did and gave away, the black one with the white contours, we're going to do similar design to this, but with like the black contour lines. So I think we'll wrap up this video here. In the next one, we're going to be fitting the new light bars we've got, and by the time we do that video, we're going to have the new rock sliders as well. So make sure you subscribe to watch that. Other than that, we just need to get out in this. We need to actually do some green laning, some off-road days. So if you've got any suggestions, anything coming up in the near future, comment below, drop us an email. We're normally up if it fits into a schedule. But other than that, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.